This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, hi everybody. Calling to order the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Search Committee for May 19th, 2022 at around 2:34. And we have Diana, Kate, and Chris here. I don't think Ed is going to be joining us today, but we'll get started. We don't have a big agenda, but let's just talk about a few things and kind of catch up, I think. So first of all, nobody's hanging out there for open time for the public that I see. So we'll keep on moving with the minutes, Kate. I'm sure you haven't had a chance to do them, but they also had mixed them up a little bit on the YouTube. I think they're corrected now, but they had the date of an April date on the May meetings. And so it was kind of like they had combined the wrong labeling for the actual meeting that was going on. So I think they've separated them now. So I think on the town website, I think they're okay. For the I think there was a 4/22 and then an early May meeting, and I believe we just one meeting is all we're off, so it's no big deal.
So it's just what is the date of the meeting? Because I probably did it.
It's the last May meeting that we had, I think, as we went over the Greenways application. So I think it's fine. Just I'll send you the link to the YouTube if you want, if that's easier. And I think it's only.
Let me see if I have them, because I might have already done them.
That's okay. I mean, we won't have read them and have a chance to really digest them anyway. If you do, send them around. I mean, if you do find it, you can send them around for next time. But so there was that. And I think I just wanted to share a couple things. One, I think I may have shared this last time. I can't remember. I was starting to, and I don't know that I had completed it. But this was where we are with things. And I'm going to give this to select board since we actually haven't had a meeting with them. I kind of didn't bother to do another briefing of them recently, but I figured this will be in their packages for Tuesday, so I could just refer to it in terms of what we've been up to. There's quite a bit obviously in play here, and most all of it is related to the Greenway, but we shall hope that something comes through out of these efforts here. I don't think we're going to know anything more about the hazard mitigation plan until probably July or so. But interestingly enough, a message came across to me, and I'd have to go find that now, about, let me think, about the hazard mitigation grant program itself. And it's, I'm looking for it actually as it came in here. It's not the plan update, which is what we've applied for, but they do have a deadline now has been announced for the grant applications for the hazard mitigation, sort of the action type of project. So that they announced was for an actual hazard mitigation project where the deadline has now been extended till October. And these two, like the one we had done with the planning part, they reduced the match from, I forget if it was 25% or something, it's down to 10%. So it's a federal grant where 90% is the feds and only 10% is the match. And so I did reach out saying, this looks like it's for an actual grant project rather than the plan update. Should we even consider applying for this if our plan is not updated yet? And what I got for an answer was that the plan application, so the update plan, has already been submitted. Remember, this one had to go to MEMA, then to FEMA. So it's already been submitted to FEMA. We hope the funding for that comes through at some point this summer. You're more than welcome to apply for a project, but it will need to remain on a wait list until the plan is approved by FEMA. Let me know if there's any specific project ideas you want to discuss. So, and again, it's not only getting the money, hopefully, for the plan update, but then the plan has got to be done as part of that grant, right? And so I don't think this really applies to us. I thought, well, gee, maybe there's something here, but I think we're maybe a year ahead because we have to do the update of the plan first. I mean, it sounds like if we put in our efforts, it's just going to be on a wait list anyway. So I don't think there's anything immediate to come out of that, except when we get our, hopefully our positive response on the plan. The other one, just to say that the MVP action grant, that required a $35,355 cost share on our part. The total value of the project is those two added together. So the grant request itself is 106 out of the $141,000 culvert assessment project that Ty and Bond helped write up. So the 35,355 we did approve at ARPA last night. So that will be where the match is coming from for that one. And then
The action grant, right?
This is well, yes, it's technically an action grant. Yes, it is the action grant. It's still in a the action is an assessment, so it's a little bit confusing. Yeah, it's the assessment, the townwide assessment of the culverts, but yes.
Okay, I'm just writing down that we're getting the match from the ARPA funding.
Right, the match is coming there. And then on the last section of the greenways, we had put in a $25,000 cost share, of which 15,000 is going to be in kind, based on various town officials' time and meetings time, Greenway Committee outreach time to the public, keeping people informed of what's going on, briefing, select board, Concom, whoever needs to be briefed, etc. So we were able to legitimately come up with around $15,000 of value of our time of people in town. And then, sorry, 10,000, I'm sorry, did I say 15? 10,000 of that. And then 15,000 is going to be asked for at the town meeting coming up on June 7th. And it would be 15,000 coming from free cash as part of the town meeting. So it'll be an article on the warrant at the town meeting. And I don't foresee any real problem with that. So that's kind of where we are. So we've hopefully, after we get through the town meeting, we will have secured our matches, and we're sitting okay. All right. So that's where we are with that. Okay. So let's see, a couple of things, if I can find them here. Do I have them? So I don't know if you guys had a chance to sign up for this or not. I think I sent it around. It was a state funding program, webinars and whatever. It was sponsored by the Franklin Council of Governments. I think Diana, you said
I did go to that. I went to the one
I got confused about, but I will go and I looked at it after. I didn't go because it was a beautiful day.
Okay.
I went to the one on May 10th.
Okay.
And I'm literally looking for the minutes, or like I took some notes, and I think they're probably in my recovered document. So it was May 10th. There was a lot of information we already had.
Yeah, and here actually too, I mean, but I just wanted to draw your attention to it. If you go back to that website, because for all of these so far, or for the first two, they have the slides up from the meeting, and you can also link right into the recording if you want to hear it again. So this last one on May 10th, they don't have the slides up, the PowerPoint up yet, but they do have the recording up. So I was going to have a chance to go back and see if I could find anything there that was of relevance, or any important deadlines coming up that we might want to pay attention to,
or anything that we don't know about. That's what
right. Yeah, there may be some, definitely. I think there's a few new things on the highway one. I was actually looking, and I guess I'd like us all to sort of do a little bit more searching, especially on the DOT ones. We have two issues that I'm aware of, well, maybe three, that we'd like to see if we could figure out a way to deal with. So we still haven't given up. I think Ian still hasn't given up the idea of at least investigating the possibility of having Gun Road Extension a one-way. But again, that's got to be a feasibility study, and finding anybody that likes to do feasibility studies just seems to be a challenge. I don't know how they expect you to jump right into a grant if you really haven't done all your beginning groundwork. So that's one. And then the second one is up a little bit past the post office on Pomeroy, there's the development, I'm forgetting, Diana, where Kurt lives.
That's Rosalie Lane and.
Rosalie Lane. Okay, so right around there, there's a little housing development kind of across from the post office. And there's a bunch of kids apparently that live there that walk to school, and it's kind of a dangerous crossing there. So I know Ian had been talking a little bit about, the idea whether we could find some money to put in a crosswalk there. I don't know about a flashing light, but at least a crosswalk. And so we need to keep our eyes open for anything that's coming due. I've looked briefly at the shared streets and spaces that we use for the cemetery sidewalk, and that's not open right now. And I don't know, that might have been something, but we're not in the right cycle for that. And safe routes to school, I wasn't quite seeing anything when I first looked at it, but if you either of you have time to dig a little deeper and you come up with anything that might help us in either of those directions, it would be good.
What about that Safe Streets grant?
That's the one I just mentioned, the one that's the one we did the cemetery with. It's
no, I thought it was a different name.
Oh, shared streets. Yeah. Maybe, I'm not sure what it's focusing on. So that's where I didn't attend that webinar. So I was gonna
pull it up. Like I actually screenshotted a bunch of the slides.
Well, the slides, I can hang on. Maybe let me see if I can just. I don't know if they'll come up. Maybe.
Why would we need a grant to put in a crosswalk? Isn't that just paint?
Well, no, it's probably more than. I've got the overview here, Kate. But this is the one from that May meeting, I think. So it's the Complete Streets Funding Program. Is that the one you're talking about? Maybe.
It's not shared streets and spaces. Maybe I think it was Complete Streets, because I'm like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, so it's this one. I think this is the one. Yeah, it could be. I'm not sure, Diana. There's I don't know. It's obviously more than that. I know it would be. I just don't know what.
We have to maybe get a study that shows that it's a good idea or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I think. Yeah, I think I probably need to talk to Ian a little bit more to see what he has in mind, because it came up. I think some of the parents that live across the way there whose kids walk to school have talked to Ian and brought it up as a concern and an idea. Mm-hmm. So we probably need to take a look at that a little bit more if we can and see if but this one, I was trying to see very quickly, and I just hadn't had a chance to really look into this. What some of the requirements were and when anything was coming due, etc. So this would be one to maybe look at a little bit more. So this is a rolling one, and so something has already happened for April, but there's something else coming up in September. So that's what I wasn't totally sure of, if there was something here to look at. So maybe we can dig into this one a little deeper. That's the one from that meeting that you went to, Kate.
I'm like really trying to find. I had the webinar link, and I like I said, I copied a bunch of slides, because especially the one for the last part of it, the energy requirements, you have to make sure that you're certified and you're part of this, like, and you're an energy friendly community or something like that in order to be eligible.
Okay. Yep. You know what? I think I'm talking on the wrong one. Sorry. This was from, yes. Okay. That you're talking the energy one. I'm sorry. I'm talking for the one on April 26th. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't think
yeah.
I did.
So that's the DOT one. So but that's already got its presentation is there, and the slides are there. So that was a slide link I clicked on. So I'll just send a link around for this listing here, so you can go into any of these and see what was presented. Yes, I'm sorry. They don't have the they've got the recording up for the one you attended, Kate, the energy one, but not the slides yet. So I don't know, they're just slow in putting them up, I guess. But anyway, just to say, I think of anything on my brain of what's been asked for and what we want to keep a lookout for, it's something related to traffic safety. So anything DOT related with those two projects in mind. I don't know how extensive putting in a crosswalk is. I really don't know. So that's one thing I can talk to Ian about, of things that maybe he would certainly need to fill us in on things, but I'll just let him know that we're still looking at that idea. There's also some area of town, and I think it's over by Line Street, where there's been some pretty good speeding issues over there that have been brought to his attention and he's been dealing with. And I think the challenge there is that Line Street goes both for Southampton and Easthampton. And so to do any traffic calming there, I don't know exactly how that would do. But anyway, if we find something out of DOT that might be possibly useful and we've got an upcoming deadline, please flag it for our next meeting, okay? So that we can, or if it's a super soon deadline, really flag it for us and just send it around.
One of the grants from that last meeting, they said that there's 2 rounds, one that had just closed and then there was like another one in October. And so I was hoping to get the slides about maybe being eligible for that second round, but it was really about energy resources.
Okay. Yep. Good. And there's two more left here that are upcoming, and I'm going to try and get in on both of these, but feel free also. The 24th from 3 to 5, Mass Historical Commission, Cultural Council, and then June 7th, which is right before our town meeting. So that's all Mass Broadband Institute. So it's probably technology related. So if nothing else, I'll pass that on to the tech committee for them to join in on. So, but anyway, it's been kind of interesting that they've tried to put together kind of in one place a series of webinars that at least let people know what grants are out there from the state that are kind of upcoming. So hopefully they'll keep on doing something like that. But I thought all of that was pretty interesting information, actually. So that's kind of what we have. I have not heard of other major demands. Now, I don't think that stops us from looking at things like master planning for the park or all those kinds of things. And out of the RFQs that we sent out, there's at least, I think, one group that sounds like they've done park master planning. So once I take a look at that a little more, I'll talk with Ed and we'll make that available to the Parks Commission too, because if they want to do that, we need to make some of that happen.
And then I promised Dylan that I would be happy to help support any future parks projects because he's
right. Well, and thank you. I try not to go down the rabbit hole when I look at community Facebook, but thanks to both you and Dylan for trying to at least explain the splash pad spray deck a little bit to those that are kind of still the naysayers here. And we'll see. I mean, it's got to be the first thing to look at is the water issue. And if the water doesn't work, then maybe that goes away. I mean, so I know our deadline is really, really close on this, and Ed is charged with talking to Melissa from the park program to see if we can get a few months extension on this. And I don't know if she's going to be willing to do that or not. But that's really right around the corner. The other one that's come up, remember the very first grant I think we probably got was that $100,000 housing choice for the railway acquisition. That very, very first grant. A whole year's gone by already, guys. Unfortunately, we can't bill for it because we don't have any bills yet. Until everything is closed and we have, the legal stuff done, we can't pay out anything. We thought maybe the railroad could give us a bill and we could pay in thirds, and that doesn't seem to work. So Ed is also going to be talking to those housing choice people to say, hey, look, we're, at the 85% almost done, but it's still probably going to be another 2-3 months. Can you, hang in there and, wait for us? And I think they will. It's just a matter of letting them know ahead of time. This, we were hoping that maybe we could put in a chunk of their, take their 100,000 and be done with them and just kind of hold it in escrow or something like that for the railroad until it was all, all done, but that doesn't work. So we're trying up a couple things so that we don't lose any grant money, obviously. And a lot of these deadlines have come up. I mean, a whole year has gone by very quickly. So that's kind of all that I know at the moment. I don't know if you guys have heard of other grant needs, other issues coming up.
We had an issue at Concom on Monday night. Did you hear about that?
No, I haven't.
We only received one bid for the second time that they've put out the phase 1 of Manhan Meadows project.
Right. Yeah.
And it was over the budget.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Again?
I don't understand it. And so now Ed said when that happens, you just have to start over. I do not understand how a professional company could do that.
Really? And this is who I think it is. Okay. And they knew, I mean, oh man, wow.
Isn't that in a bid? I mean, isn't that in a bid document, what the budget is?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know how it is, but I know Art had been working with them very clearly in terms of the budget. So yeah, anything over $50,000 triggers a whole nother level of procurement rather than getting, quotes.
And that, I'm sorry, what project was that for? So
the trail restoration, the Hazel A. Young Trail at Manhan Meadows.
Yeah, so that's another Mass Trails.
For years, the whole conservation area there is closed because it's impassable.
Yeah. That's another Mass Trails grant that we haven't been able to move forward with because the first time we only had one bidder and he didn't really respond. Respond to doing anything. And so they revised the specifications, put it back out again, hoping to have a bid not more than 50,000. And it sounds like it came in over 50,000. So that means
just a little,
even a few bucks. Yeah. So that means back to the drawing board on that one and further delays. Good grief. Oh man.
So frustrating. So I did find some of the notes from that presentation that I went to, and one grant application that's available through Massachusetts is a culvert replacement municipal assistance grant program. And it sounds like it's currently closed, but this might be something we could apply for after we do the culvert assessment. So I think we could put that on the list.
We should put that on the list. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to take, several months to do the culvert assessment thing. So it'd probably be the next year round, but yeah, absolutely. That would be good.
I'm just looking at my notes. So they talked about the MVP process, which we're pretty familiar with, and MVP action grants. That was a huge part of the discussion. And then there was so this is the one that I was like, kind of perked my ear a little bit, but there was a competitive grant for up to $200,000 per applicant for existing green communities. So this was what I was talking about. You have to be certified as a green community. And I thought that might be a question for Ed if we fall into that bucket. But there's a contact that we can reach out to if we want to proceed with, it's a clean energy project. So I didn't know if anything would come to mind, but it says it's a designation grants are awarded to newly designated green communities to be used on energy efficiency projects. And they said that they're trying to move away from gasoline or diesel based projects in order to move things in towards like more clean electric projects. I mean, $200,000 isn't a huge amount of money, but the overall bucket of funding is much more substantial. And so the two blocks are, there's a block that is the final grant round is due February 11th, and then the next report, I'm sorry, you have to be green community in good standing, and if you have issues that are identified, you either have to fix them by February or September. So like, I don't know if we have any outstanding green issues, but that it might be good for us to try to work on fixing those issues so that way we can apply for the next round.
Okay. So let me fill you in. I don't know too much about it because it all happened before I got on the select board, but we are already a recipient of the DOER Green Community Grant. And I think it's, I want to say it's like $130,000 or something like that. This has been in the works for, I mean, it's been around for about 3 years now, I think. And it doesn't really expire from what I'm understanding, but you have to do some improvements in energy. And here they were working on, I believe it was replacing lights up at Norris, doing energy savings through putting in LED lights and those kinds of things. And so once you achieve a certain amount of savings over a 5-year period. That's kind of the goal of that. I'll have to get some more information on that from Ed, but we are already in that role. I don't know what else we can do while that's still active.
But we're trying to make improvements, or we're in that like phase of making improvements, or we've already been granted funding in order to work.
Yeah,
towards
no,
those
the
improvements?
funding was granted a while ago, like I say, before I even got on select board.
Maybe so there was a contact that was listed. His name was Mark Rabinski, as like a regional coordinator, and maybe it'd be worth reaching out to him to just say, is this stagnant? Is there anything else that we could work on for the future?
Yeah, no, let me check with Ed, because he's been dealing with this, because it's on our select board agenda all the time as a pending issue, and it's just we haven't reached the threshold yet. There's certain projects that qualify, and they had started already with all the light replacement up at Norris, and I don't know if some of our other things with, boilers and whatever else might apply to this. So let me check with him on that and get more details.
Okay.
But then we could do that. But yeah, so we are technically a recipient already of this Green Community Grant. Now, I want to say it's 130,000 or something like that.
Okay, $130,000 is good. And then I think the last thing that I was able to listen in on was about the state revolving fund, which seems like they have a funding for the Mass DEP and Clean Water Trust, which issues money to protect water supplies. And it seemed like a lot of that funding was focused towards loan forgiveness for disadvantaged communities. And I don't know if we would necessarily fit into that bucket just because of our demographic in Southampton, but they provide fixed low interest rates, interim loans for construction projects, flexible repayment, and then subsidies like forgiveness for the economically disadvantaged communities. And I kind of felt like we had already been familiar with the revolving fund, the state revolving fund. Maybe not through the grant committee, but it sounded like something we should be aware of. And it says the project proposals are accepted between July and August, and the final plan will be published in July of 2023.
Okay.
And that's for receiving funding through this project or through this process.
Okay.
So maybe that's just something to think about.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And ARPA, so it looks like ARPA and the bipartisan infrastructure law, which will give $9.5 billion in funding over 5 years, fall within this.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not sure about that last one, but I'll find out more about the Green Community one too. And if there's other things, I mean, at one point in time when we were talking with, I think we started talking about it a little bit on our cost efficiencies committee meeting. One of the thoughts to really show some real movement forward on the Green Community one, there was some talk about even switching out our street lights to LED.
Oh,
But other communities have done that, and there's been major complaints about how bright those lights are.
right.
And also you've got to go through all sorts of hoops with Eversource, etc. So it's not an easy process to do, but it's a thought that's been tossed around a little bit in one of our other committee meetings. So there's still some work to be done on that, but we'll check that out. But I don't know of other things offhand. Some of these other ones I think are not coming up until the fall. Remember that One Stop grant and the brick and a couple of these other big name things. I think most of those are not until the fall, so we don't have to really rush on those at the moment. But if we think of other things, or if you hear of other things from people.
Isn't it crazy how fast these things are going to creep up on us though?
It is. I mean, and I'm so glad at least. Well, let me fill you in too on the cemetery sidewalk. So, I mean, Kate, you live right there. Have you noticed, kids riding their bikes on it and so forth? And
not so much. I mean, I don't really like pay attention to it too much, but I've seen people walking on it.
Yeah. So
I rode my bike on it.
Did you? Good.
Yes,
all right. Well,
very
there's
well.
kind of there's a concern, I think, shared by pretty much everybody at select board about having that, that little round area by that tree and being so close to the edge of the road, even though they put in a little bit of cement curbing there, that you know, especially if it was a little kiddo without immediate, you know, family accompaniment, like on the side toward the road. Just a fear that that's dangerous. It's a safety issue. And so we're going to go back and talk to the engineers again. They seem to think it was okay. But you know, when you're driving or riding along on a straight stretch and all of a sudden you've got to make a little turn there in a way.
A little jog.
Yeah, a little jog, and knowing how unstable little kiddos in particular can be on bikes,
Yeah.
it seems like it's not great. So we might ask to think about putting in a guardrail
Oh,
right there. What we've been told is that might be like another $10,000,
Oh my God.
which we'd have to figure out, but that's another story. Ed
it's always
seems to think-
something.
I know. Nothing's free, and especially anything out of metal, right? Or wood these days. But Ed seemed to think that we had some money left in the current grant envelope to cover some of the design costs if we had to do a redesign with, you know, Rick from Stantec or somebody, that we might have some money that we could cover the design part, but we wouldn't have enough to implement whatever that change would be. The fear is that it might mean moving part of that sidewalk
Oh no.
to where, I don't know. Because I mean, you can't put it much closer to the tree without disturbing the tree roots.
Or just bumping into the tree.
That too. So anyway. I'm gonna lose my voice. Hold on. Losing my voice. Too much talking.
Need some water or a break.
I know. Water break. Yeah, water break's good. 2 seconds.
These grant projects. So, okay, there may be a recommendation for a guardrail or other protective barrier, which may result in additional cost. Let's see, there may be some. That.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I hate it when you get these little tickles in your throat. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a challenge before us. I mean, I think the sidewalk itself, I think, will be appreciated. The grass is starting to grow. It may need some reseeding, depending on what it looks like a couple weeks from now. It might need another another dump of seed on there. But anyway, so it's a concern just with that jog around the tree and how to fix that without causing major problems and expense.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I said, could we at least put up a caution sign or something there, you know, right next to the jog area so the kiddos would see it. And even that's got to be approved by DOT, but whatever. So I don't know. We got to hopefully find a solution that would make it a little bit safer. So that's the only hitch. Yeah.
What would be needed to do the sidewalk as you keep going downhill there?
Well, separate grant, separate money.
That is town owned, right?
That sidewalk's a mess. The one after
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah, it's a terrible mess. You could really get hurt just.
Yeah.
Going up.
I don't know why that would be any. I mean, it's maybe town owned, but it's, you know, bordering DOT, so they've got to be involved in it.
I think the challenge with that sidewalk is it's very narrow and it's very steep, and
Yeah.
I actually avoid going that way.
It's
especially-
uneven. Yeah, well, but
Very-
so then you have to decide, do you want to go down High Street, like to go to Conant Park?
Right.
Do you want to ride on Route 10? The choices
Yeah.
aren't great.
Well, so again, I mean, that as we look at, you know, DOT related things, I mean, keep that one in mind. I think that's something that I know Randall has said that's something he'd like to improve. I just don't know that he's had a chance to look for any sources of funding to even think about doing that or what it would entail. It's
Yeah,
obviously quite a bit longer than the one
Yeah.
we did, and that cost already like, $100,000 for 900 feet,
Yeah.
right? So this would be a bigger grant needed for sure. But yeah, keep that in mind. I mean, it's definitely would make things a whole lot better just to do the same kind of the same width of what they've put in by the cemetery there. Just continue on down. I don't know how much
Mhm.
how much can be done, but at least to take a look at that. So
My other question about that would be, so there's also requirements for width and grade, where anytime you're doing a sidewalk reconstruction, that you have to adhere to
right.
updated accessibility guidelines. And I just wonder if that space would allow for a wider sidewalk. Like I remember that coming up with a different project about opening up a can of worms about accessibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
you'd have to take some yards, some people's yards, and I don't know if, you'd
Yeah,
have eminent domain or something.
yeah, I don't know. If I run into Randall, I'll just pass it by him and see what his thought is, if he had a game plan related to that or not. I'm not sure. But it's kind of not, this is sort of the time in a way, with lots of infrastructure money kind of floating out there somewhere. It hasn't all come to us yet, even at the state level, but there's now's probably an opportunity for any kinds of things like that to
Yeah.
try and
I
get
mean,
done.
yeah, you're right. It's kind of a catch-22. To improve it, you have to
Yeah,
meet the standards, and the
Yep.
standards are
exactly. So
just go in there and smooth it out.
yeah, it's not quite that simple necessarily. So right. Okay, well, that's all. I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. That came up last night, that it was really just feeling like it's a nice thing that's been done so far, but it's just a concern that really is very close to the edge, right around that tree. But certainly we didn't want to take the tree down either. So, and I don't think there's room to go on the other side of the tree between it and the fence. So I'm not sure what creative solutions they would come up with here, but we'll find out. So that may be something that will be looked at, if we've got enough money to at least have them take a look on the design side again and see what they can do. I mean, DOT basically said, okay. So it's like, they're not terribly worried about it, but I think we ought to be. So that's all I know, guys. So I don't have anything else to share or spend your time on for now. I thank you again for doing all that you've been doing on this and attending other webinars. That's great. If you got a chance to zoom in on them, that's wonderful, or read them afterwards.
I'm sorry, it took me a little bit to find the minutes. It was in my recovery documents and there was like 100 of them.
That's okay. We'll deal with them next time. That's fine.
Oh, and I circulated the minutes from the May 2nd meeting. I found those and sent them to
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, sounds good. Good. So I know, Diana, you're going to be gone for a while.
I am a lot of June and
Yeah.
some of July, but
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
So maybe, I don't know that we need another meeting right away for anything in particular. I was thinking we could push it out till, like, I don't know, like a month away from now or something, like, maybe the
That'd be great.
16th or so of June or something like that, 16th or 23rd.
I'll be back in town like the evening of the 19th.
Okay.
So the 23rd.
Yeah, sure. How about the 23rd? Let's do that. Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good. All right. That
At
would be great.
2:30?
Yeah, same time, 2:30. I don't, if there's something that comes up in the meantime, I'll let you all know, but I don't foresee any, I'm not aware of any deadlines. Let's put it up that way, that are coming at us that we should really try to hit. I haven't got anything on my radar.
Concom, or really open space, has been saying that we should know about that, the water grant before town meeting, that we might be notified, the Courtney property.
Oh, great. Good.
FYI,
nice.
add that to the list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so remember I did that one. So these are the ones that were, in our bailiwick. But then others, I had another page from before, what, fire and police and everybody had gotten. So I'll continue and update that page too. That'll go with this. That would be great. Very good. Yeah, that'd be nice to hear about that one soon. I would think that would be a positive. I mean, I would expect that one, frankly. I can't imagine why they'd turn that down.
The Kestrel woman wrote it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I can't imagine why that would be turned down. So I'm going to have positive thoughts about that one.
Okay. All
So
right.
good. All right, guys. Well, listen, I think we can call it quits. So if you would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Nice to
All
see
right.
you all. Thank
Good.
you.
All right. We'll see you. So we're adjourned at around 3:15. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.